Hi, everybody. This is Dion Lyle with Cherry25, your host for FinTech 5, coming at you from New York City today. What I'm going to talk about today is innovation, specifically big company and startup dating or partnering. I recently subscribed to a really good service called Innovation Leader. It's about $200 a quarter for the service. You get various reports, mainly about best practices for large organizations. The one I'm going to cover today is startup engagement best practices. And so it's a report from Innovation Leader. I think they got a lot of it right, some of it wrong. It's based on surveys of big companies and what their leaders think about innovation and how they go about specifically partnering between their large organization and smaller organizations. So what I think is interesting, they start off with innovation strategy. And one of the things that the survey respondents said, 27% of the people said it's about incremental innovation. Sorry, that's not innovation. That is product improvement. They should be doing that as part of business as usual. The other thing I found interesting in this part of the survey, they talk about a balance or blend of the three: incremental, adjacent, and transformational. My problem with this is usually when people say that, transformational falls to the bottom. And if you look at the percentages on this chart, you see that's actually true. So I think any balance of those three is probably admitting you're not going to do a lot of transformational. The other thing I found interesting in the survey, very disturbing almost, is startup companies have new ideas and they could help your company, is the question. 40% disagree, 12% strongly disagree. Who are these people and what are they doing? Startups are made with new ideas, based on new ideas, to disrupt large companies. How do they think otherwise? I found this part of the survey really shocking, and maybe it is just how innovation in large companies is today. I've been in large companies, I've seen this, but these percentages I found very, very difficult to swallow. The other part of the survey they talked about was goals. What are your goals for innovation? Here, I even put a red star up, so excited. Potential proof of concepts or pilot tests. Thank you. That should be the number one answer. I believe that's the best way to innovate in a large company, is to do a POC or pilot with a startup, with a small company. This is what you'll often hear me refer to as outsourced R&D. Now, the second one, I like the idea, I'm just not sure it works, which is driving internal cultural change. Well, if you're relying on a startup for that, you're going to be sadly disappointed because it's often hard to get that done. You really need access to the top level executives in your own organization as well as across the organization, and you really need that organization to buy into innovation as a path forward and as a driver of change. Now, there are other ones here that I found interesting, like be an early customer licensee or buy their technology. That's a good goal. Better educated customer tech trends. That's an interesting goal. Overall, I think the survey shows that people are thinking better and more and deeper about innovation in large organizations. I still think there's a lot of work to do. One of the interesting pages in the report was advice from these large innovation or executives at these large organizations. And what I found interesting about this was there was some advice that I would agree with, some I wouldn't. Advice I agree with: don't underestimate the amount of work needed to take a startup's output and make it scalable for your business. It's hard work. Very much, I like the second bullet. Find specific problems to solve for different business managers, unit heads, people who run a business, right? In addition to just sharing cool tech with them, right? You don't want to be the leader who comes around with cool tech, but never a business solution. And then the other part is to own the process of dealing with the startups, independent from the CFO, as they listed, but even the CEO and some others. Advice I disagree with. Critical to have business engaged from day one. I disagree. I believe there's a time and a place, absolutely, but you don't always want the business engaged right up front because they can see what's not possible often. Second bulleted point I didn't really understand or agree with: follow an angel investor to learn how they work with startups. I find the angel model very different from corporate, and I'm not sure there's a lot of learning to transfer there. And then the third bullet that I kind of disagree with: get out there, engage with innovation hubs, ask any startups you meet how they work with other corporates. I don't know that there's a lot to learn there in my personal opinion. There are hubs and I would certainly work with them, but I'm not sure you'll learn that much. In the middle, I put you need to have a dedicated person who drives discussions forward for both the startups and businesses how to work together. Full disclosure, that's what I do. I think I'm pretty good at it. I like to do it. I've been on both sides of the fintech, startup, large company engagement. So anyways, I think it is smart. Personally, that's what I do. Final thought. The report closed on a comparison by industry of threat versus experience, and you can see the chart there. Financial services was rated lowest on both how they view the threat from startups to their own industry and how much experience they have. I can't tell you how sad that made me that financial services was below automotive, below all industries, below healthcare. And basically, you could look at this as a chart of how engaged and how important they see startup innovation. Well, that's this week's FinTech 5. I appreciate you joining. Welcome comments and welcome feedback. Have a great day.